This is Kerrigan & Company. You know, folks, I've known the College Hype team for more than 20 years. They're a local screen print and embroidery company servicing the New England area and beyond. Now, what makes the team so special is that they have more than 35 years of experience and they do all the work in-house. I love their tagline, making a difference one t-shirt at a time. Speaking from experience, I know that is the truth. Learn more at collegehype.com. Hey everybody, it's me, Kim Kerrigan. On this episode of Kerrigan & Company, we'll be talking facts and fiction. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Kerrigan & Company. So glad that you could be with us, of course, presented by A&B Burger. I am very excited about this week's show. Keeping me company this week is someone that I have known from the time that I moved to Boston, which has been, 36 years ago or so. With me today is Hank Phillipi Ryan. You know her from Channel 7, but we hope that you also know her as an incredible author. It is so good to see you.
Thank you. It is like the good old days, only it's the new days. So
I know.
Congratulations
on
this.
It's the better old days.
Well, it's fabulous. It's just fabulous.
Thank you. It's so good to see you. I can't believe, I've been away from Channel 7 for a long, long time, and I know that you are still working there, but not there as much as you used to be. But I don't think we've seen one another for I don't know how long. We were just talking about my kids, so that gives you an idea, right?
Exactly. But as a pal, as a friend, and as a colleague, and we have been in the trenches for so many years together, so it feels like no time at all has gone by.
I think you're absolutely right. So it's great to see you. Except something that has really changed is that when I knew Hank, she was just working for consumers and doing all the right stuff. Now she's writing books. 15 books you now have under your belt. I cannot believe it's been 15.
It's amazing. And, after all those years of just doing the facts and doing the settings as there is and recording people's dialogue and doing research and tracking down leads and following clues, now I am making stuff up. and it's just such an interesting concept to be able to use my imagination in a different way.
Yeah.
But still telling stories that enlighten and entertain now and maybe change people's lives a little bit. So the concept is the same. It's just sort of, instead of researching documents, I'm researching my own imagination.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to me. And by the way, not only has she written 15 books, but you've written 15 really great books.
Oh.
I mean, we can go through the list of some of the things that have happened since you started writing books, which was in like 2007-ish, is that right?
2007-ish, yeah. I've always wanted to write novels. We can talk about this. I just never had a good idea. And sometimes I would check my brain and say, any good ideas for thrillers? And my brain would say, no. And one day, and it was 20 years ago, amazingly so, I just had a good idea for a book, and I knew it was a good idea. And you know how you feel when you have a good idea. You get goosebumps, and you think, this is going to work.
Yeah.
This will work.
Yeah.
And I went home, and I said to my husband, sweetheart, I've got a great idea for a book. I'm going to write a novel. And Jonathan says, great, honey. He says, do you know how to write a book? And I said, how hard can it be? I've read a million books. And honestly, Kim, I learned how hard it could be. It is the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life.
Well, Hank, I got to tell you, my husband has always said to me, Kim, you should write a book about your experiences. I can't even gather my thoughts to write a book about things I have lived experiences. I can't imagine how you develop a world of characters and you live in their world and then you wrap them up with a big bow, ultimately. I don't know how people do that. How do you do it, Hank?
Yeah, how? Well, let me tell you. I have, Sue Grafton used to call it the magic because I have no idea how it's done. But we're both storytellers. We've both spent our lives telling good stories with a character you care about, with an important problem that needs to be solved, where you track down clues and follow leads, where the good guys win and the bad guys get what's coming to them. And in the end, you get some justice and you get to change the world, right? Whether it's an investigative story that I've worked on for 43 years or whether it's a novel, that's the same concept. When we're kids and someone says, if we're lucky to us, once upon a time, That's what I'm going for in these novels. I want the world to fall away. I want your life to be changed. I want you to be captivated by this novel. But very, very quickly, we both know this from television. I don't want you to change the channel when my stories are on TV. It's so easy to click, click, click. And I don't want you to be able to put my books down. That's where I write.
Yeah, you can't get lost in it, can you? Because that will lose your reader.
It has to keep, there has to be something happening at every minute. And the reader needs to care. And that's why I write fast-paced, page-turning thrillers. I want you to miss your stop on the T because you just can't put it down. So if you like Harlan Coben, Lisa Scottolini, Tess Gerritsen, that kind of smart, fast-paced investigative thrillers, that's
then
what
you're going to love this. You're absolutely right. Okay, so now you've made it sound like I can go home today and I can write a book, which is absolutely not true. I cannot do it. I'm here to tell you right now. I also can't go home and sing. These are two things I'd love to be able to do. I can't do either one of them. But tell me this. Do you, when you sit down and you say, I'm going to write a book, do you see the ending first? Do you know where the characters are going? Or do you get in it and it unfolds in your mind just like it does for the reader?
I know you will not believe this, but I have no idea what's going to happen next in the book. No idea. I get one cool germ of an idea for the beginning of the book, sort of the beginning domino that starts the book. And then I just go with it. And I mean, that's what gets me to my computer every day is I think, I can't wait to find out what happens next. And the only way I can do that is by writing it myself. So, I don't know what happens until I write the next word, the next sentence, the next paragraph, the next scene. And people say, wow, the twists and turns in your novels, I can't believe it. And I'm like, I know. Could you believe that? I was shocked. And I am shocked every day, and I am surprised every day. And that is indeed the magic. The idea that I can surprise myself every day is really quite a joy.
Can you walk away from the characters? Do they live in your head?
I'm supposed to say, I think, oh, no. When the book is over, when the book is over, I'm on to the next one.
You are? Okay.
Yes. When I'm in the book, though, when I'm in the midst of writing the book, my husband will tell you, there is not a moment of the day that I'm not in their world.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be having dinner, and my husband will say, honey, are you in book world? Because you haven't
joined me here. Exactly.
Like, can you come back to dinner? But that, again, is exactly what I want to have happen to the reader in my new book, One Wrong Word. I want you not to be able to put it down. I want you to know that I had no idea it was going to happen. And quickly, I can tell you, kind of like a news story again, is that when we go out and search for a story, when we're doing a news story, we don't know the end. If we knew the end, it wouldn't be new. So every day writing my novels, I'm in search of the story, just like I am in television. And that's why I am sort of capable, I would say, of walking that tightrope of thinking, I just typed chapter 1 and I got 100,000 words to go and I have no idea.
Where
it is fun. It is fun.
It's hard.
So hard.
This is the new novel, One Wrong Word. Fabulous book. I had the opportunity to read it. It is so great. Hank, you do really have a way, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
So this woman she's a crisis manager, and suddenly a crisis is in her family. We're not going to tell too much. Obviously, you can get these books wherever you can buy a book. You can get
absolutely.
So.
But hold the book up to your face. I know that everybody's not watching on video, but if you hold the book up to your face and cut your face in half with the book, you will become the cover. And that is why we did that, because what happens to Arden Ward in this novel could happen to any of us.
Absolutely.
And probably has happened to many of us. It certainly happened to me. We won't go there. Certainly happened to me.
Right.
So I want you to love Arden Ward. I want you to root for her. She's in the midst of rumor and gossip and scandal and greed and betrayal. I mean, that's what a good thriller is about.
Absolutely. Could you write, if you decided, could you change genres? Could you write a love story?
People have asked me this, could I write a love story? And I will confess that I said to them, what would everybody do for 400 pages? So I think I'm not the romance novel type.
Right. Well, I think it's actually kind of a natural progression for you that you would write a thriller because, again, you were, someone who worked in news, just like you've said, and you just sort of made your way each day finding out what was going to happen.
I've wired
next.
myself with hidden cameras and confronted corrupt politicians and chased down criminals and got undercover and in disguise. So what better for me than to write a thriller?
So true. Well, let's tell everybody just a little bit about some of the awards that she's won over the last 20. 20 years you've been writing. How quickly, if you've written 15, how quickly do you write a book?
It takes about a year. It takes about a year to write a book. I mean, from the conception, the first idea, to the first draft, to the over and over and over and over editing. And then my publisher in New York gets it, and the editor looks at it there too, and we go through a couple more rounds of editing. And then there's the administrative publishing stuff, just the actual printing and the cover design and the binding and the distribution and the sales and all those kinds of things. So it takes a year from moment one till it gets on the shelves.
Standing there,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
So I opened that first big box of gorgeous books, which never gets old.
Oh, I'm sure it does not. And then how long have you taken in between? I mean, you've got to have some downtime, right?
No. Come on, Kim. How much downtime do you take between things? None.
Your brain has got to rest.
Someday it will, but it's truly out of love and passion. It is out of love and passion. I couldn't not do it. I think about my novels all the time. I think about storytelling all the time. I think about what can I do that's cooler and better and bigger and more absolutely propulsive and riveting. And it's a joy.
Hank, it's unbelievable. If you were to give someone advice who wanted to write a book, I mean, is book writing something you think everyone can do?
I
think the answer is no, by the way.
I think the answer is everyone could do it. Would it be good?
Right.
What would be the point? And what I mean by what would be the point is, what is your point when you want to write a book? Do you want to write your memoir so your family can read it? That's great. Go for it. Just do it. Do you want to make $1 billion and have a massive commercial success? Nobody knows how to do that. Nobody knows. And so it just depends on what your goal is. But what I would say as advice is you don't know till you try. You don't know till you try. And it seems like a massive undertaking. I have to write a book. Oh, that's too hard. But if you write a page a day, 250 words a day, one every day for a year, you'd be done at the end of a year. One page, you could write one page. So it's a doable thing. You just cut it. This is what I do, Kim, is I write a certain number of words a day, and I succeed, 540 words a day. And I succeed every day. And at the end of every day, I think, I did my words, I rock. And I go on and do the next day. So by allowing myself to succeed, that's how my books work.
Do you back up a lot?
A lot, of course. Because when you don't know what's going to happen next and then you get an idea, I go back and think, let me tweak this, let me fix this, let me polish this. So it is a process, but it is a process full of love.
All right, quickly. The most prestigious awards in this genre, she has won 5 Agathas, 5 Anthonys, and the coveted Mary Higgins Clark Award. You were also named USA Today best-selling author. Hank, you figured this out, my friend. You got this going on. I'm just so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'm proud of you. I honestly think that neither of us would be sitting right here together today if it hadn't been for all those years past. All of that experience is valuable and nothing is wasted.
When I came to Channel 7, I was new to Boston. My husband wasn't here. The change was happening with Sunbeam. So I was one of those first early hires. And I met you in the hallway, and I'm sure you don't even remember this, but I met you in the hallway, and you could not have been more kind. You said, I'm on the 2nd floor, and if you need questions answered, you're looking for a good place to get your hair cut, you offered up your services. And I have never forgotten that. I mean, it was kind, and I was a kid, and I was like, wow, there's someone nice here in Boston, and I appreciate that. So
that's such a sweet
well, it's a true story, too. Hey, we do this thing. It is 5 questions.
Oh, I'm terrified.
They're rapid fire. It's the College Hype Fast 5.
Okay.
College Hype, making a difference, one T-shirt at a time. Visit collegehype.com today. Hank, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Here we go. Ready? All right. Favorite author besides yourself?
Edith Wharton.
A song that will get you out of bed and onto the dance floor.
Oh, Defying Gravity.
I love that.
Don't you?
Pumpkin spice coffee, yes or no?
No.
Best thing about
pumpkin spice, nothing except for pie.
Whoa. You and I, now here's something we disagree about. We're going to have to talk.
You can have mine.
We'll take that up later. Best thing about being an author?
Getting to tell a story that no one has ever heard before.
I love that. And quality and guilty TV that you watch when nobody's looking.
When nobody's looking. I love to watch any crime shows. Is that guilty? That's research.
That's a guilty
not
pleasure. That's okay, though. I think that's good.
I don't feel guilty one bit about that.
I don't think you should feel guilty about anything. Our good friends at College Hype, they send T-shirts along. So you must take a College Hype T-shirt. They're so soft.
Oh, I love
and you'll love
this.
it. So you can be wearing that the next time you're writing.
I will do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So listen, you and I was thinking about who would be great guests who could be with us when Hank was here. And I thought of our next guest. He was the police commissioner here in Boston for many years while we were working in news, Ed Davis. And I thought maybe we could sit down and talk to Ed a little bit about, well, maybe crime, because maybe he'll have some ideas for your next novel, right? But we want to talk to him about security. We're coming up on this week, obviously, on 9/11. Kids are back in school. Life has changed. So we're going to talk to Ed a little bit about security and how it's changed in the country and maybe what all of us need to keep in mind as we go about our days. So he is coming up next. He'll be here with Hank Phillipi Ryan and me. You are listening to Kerrigan & Company. You know, folks, I've known the College Hype team for more than 20 years. They're a local screen print and embroidery company servicing the New England area and beyond. Now, what makes the team so special is that they have more than 35 years of experience and they do all the work in-house. I love their tagline, making a difference one T-shirt at a time. Speaking from experience, I know that is the truth. Learn more at collegehype.com. The Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair, is back October 4th through October the 14th. See legendary band Three Dog Night on Wednesday, October the 9th, Southern rock band 38 Special on Thursday, October 10th, and don't miss Maddie and Tay, Friday, October the 11th. All shows are free with admission, plus all the fun and food you'd expect from the fair. Save time and money. Get your advance tickets at the gate or online now at topsfieldfair.org. That's topsfieldfair.org.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spice, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. So good to have you with us for this episode. Of course, keeping me company today, Hank Phillipi Ryan is with me. She is someone that I've known for many, many years as a journalist and now as a fabulous author. And I do want to remind you that One Wrong Word is her most recent novel, and you can get that wherever you get your books. We'll talk to her a little bit more about the book and about where you can get your hands on that in just a moment. She and I are welcoming someone I've also known for a while. Gosh, I'm just old, Ed. I think that's the problem.
Welcome to the club. Yeah.
Ed Davis is the former police commissioner here in Boston. He's also the president and CEO of the Edward Davis Company. It's a business strategy and a business safety company. Right. And it's so good to see you.
Great to see you again, too, Kim.
Yeah, I see you on TV frequently. It's good to have you in the same room.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and we have a long history that goes back and always encompassed crisis and crime and a lot of bad things that were happening. So it's nice to see you in a happier setting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I said to Hank that I thought you were a great guest for us today for a combination of a number of reasons, not the least of which is that tomorrow is obviously 9/11. And so here we find ourselves in a world 23 years later that's certainly very different. But the world is just different than, since 9/11 and since COVID. Safety issues in the country have changed so much. So let me start with a question to you. How do you see the world versus maybe how you saw it 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Oh, it's changed dramatically. We go back to sort of Y2K and preparing for that. That was the first time there was sort of a thing that was going to happen in the future that we had to think about and plan for. And so that was my first foray into planning and preparation for crisis. And that turned out, that old saying, we prepare for the worst and hope for the best, came true with that one because it was a dud. Nothing really happened, but we had systems in place and we had planning that we benefited from. And then a few years later, 9/11. And I was with the New Jersey State Police on the morning of the bombing, the attack, and my flights were canceled. I was scheduled to fly that day, and I was stuck in Atlantic City doing training with them. And a New Jersey state trooper managed to get me up to Philadelphia, and then we were all struggling to get home to take care of things from home. But I had to drive right by New York to get to my job as a police chief in Lowell at the time. And so within a few days, I had been asked to go to the scene, and I was at the pile at the World Trade Center maybe 3 or 4 days after the attack. So I lived it. I got to see what went on there, and I got to understand how vulnerable we were as a country. And I think everything that stems from that, it changed the world. The Y2K preparation and then the attack at 9/11 really changed our perception of the world, our perception of our role in the world, and the work that needs to be done all across the nation in preparing for these insane events that just keep happening over and over and over again. It's a whole different world for us.
I mean, it's interesting, though, and I love talking about your personal interest in it and your personal experiences with that, because there's a famous Joseph Wambaugh, the writer, used to talk about how it's not how the detective works on the case, it's how the case works on the detective. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how your perspectives, your personal perspectives, and then your bigger picture perspectives work together in changing your life as a result of this.
Yeah, that's a great question. Joseph Wambaugh was my favorite author when I was 13, 14 years old. I read everything he put out. And he's right. Your experience helps inform the next thing that's going to happen. But your experience is very beneficial in that respect. But on the other side of it, it also is, psychologically impactful. There are things that you see and things that you know about the system that can make you cynical. So you're always fighting that as somebody that's in the world of sort of crisis response and dealing with bad events that are happening. You bring a healthy dose of critical thinking to the conversation, but also some cynicism that needs to be overcome all the time. So you're always looking for the good in people, but you also know that there can be really bad things happening as we see around us all the time right now.
I remember after 9/11, there was a lot of talk about the fact that we as a nation were naive. We didn't think that was going to happen on our soil.
Right.
Let's go 23 years out now. Are we still naive, or have we learned, and are we safer now than we were on the morning of 9/11?
So the answer to that is yes, we are safer. We have systems in place. The Patriot Act was passed that allowed the federal government to do more effective investigations. All the local police in the country were trained in what the national and international picture looked like. And as the police commissioner in Boston, I received the top secret clearance so that I could look at the intelligence that was coming in from all sorts of troubled areas across the world. And as a police chief, I traveled to the Middle East. I worked in the West Bank. I worked in Northern Ireland. I've been in some really difficult locations and talked to police officials there and made relationships with people. The other thing that's in place is the Marshal Service, the Air Marshal Service, I should say.
Right.
I was just communicating with some of those guys. That's sort of a silent service. You don't even know they're on the plane with you, but they are there to handle everything from a drunken passenger to a terrorist terrorist attack. So there's a system in place that didn't exist 25 years ago that make us safer. But on the other end of it, it just gets more crazy on the type of attacks, the vectors that they use.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because you're talking about protecting yourself from being cynical, and that's just obviously so important. But you have a fabulously successful business protecting people from intrusion and protecting their businesses and protecting them personally, and it's doing so gorgeously. But is that good? You know, if there are so many people that need so much assistance and so much guidance and so much of your expertise, that means that there are people on the other side who are superly cynical, who are looking for ways to harm people.
Right. There don't seem to be any rules of engagement. You know, when I was growing up, there were certain things that didn't happen. You didn't hurt a woman. You didn't hurt a civilian. Even when we were doing all the La Cosa Nostra cases, there was the bad guys and the cops, and we would respect each other to a degree. And there were certain lines that weren't crossed. There are no lines anymore. Yeah. The attacks are on the civilian population. And any way they can get to us, they will. So to your question, Hank, the whole world has been turned upside down, and it's important for us to be prepared for the unthinkable. Let's say that before we felt like we had our hands around it. Now it's just wide open. It's good for business. It's bad for society.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you tell businesses and what do you tell people who are working with you and they're looking to be safe? Or what would you just tell the general population? You know, we've got kids back in school. We've got big, huge football games going on everywhere. We're all gathering in places. You know, we've moved on. We have to live lives.
Right.
But what do you suggest to people to remain safe?
I mean, let me pop in because I agree with you so much. And I think that's such a genius question. My husband, sometimes when he goes out, I'll say to him, honey, be careful. And he says, of what? And I think there are a million things. I can think of a million things to be careful of. Yeah. So and I think your question is perfect. What do you tell people?
Well, first we tell people, to your point, Kim, that we should not let fear affect our lives. So there's a chance that something can happen. You need to be aware of it, but you can't change your life as a result of it. You can become a hermit if you look at everything that's happening.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't want that to happen because then the bad guys win. That's exactly what they're trying to do. But we have a lot of experience. We trained all of the leadership of one of the investment banks here in Boston several years ago, and we talked to them about keeping your eyes open, being aware of your environment. Mm-hmm. And we talked specifically about what might happen on the train. Let's say you're on the train and something's going on in the next car over. Don't just sit there and watch it. Don't get closer to it. Put separation between you and any kind of disturbance that's happening. So distance is your best friend. But also have a plan with you and your family or your friends on what you're going to do if that problem spills into your car or if it comes closer to you.
Yep.
The other thing we like to train, and coincidentally, there was a shooting in a train car where two of our trainees were there, and they sent a letter back to us thanking us because they felt so much better prepared. As it turned out, it didn't affect them directly, but they were ready for it if it had. So they had a plan. And that's the key thing, is to have a plan. When you go into a mall, and you walk in through a certain door, studies have been done that people who do that, if they're told to exit the mall, they will go all the way back to the door that they entered.
Right.
When we all know that there are back doors to each store. So run by the sign that says do not enter, run through that, run out the back, and get outside as quickly as you can if there's something going on. When you're sitting in a restaurant, you know, my kids joke with me, I always want my back to the wall and my eyes on the door. there's a healthy bit of paranoia that attaches to what I've seen and experienced, and it's not a bad thing to when you walk into a restaurant, know that there's a back door out through the kitchen, so you don't have to run through the front door. Little things like that can make the difference between life and death if something were to really happen.
How do we tell our kids about that? How do we tell our kids and teach them without making them be fearful, to be aware, to keep their eyes open to, we've all heard, if you see something, say something, one of the most successful slogans. What do you tell parents about how to make their kids be confident and watchful and safe?
Well, that's a big debate that's happening across the country. For instance, in the schools, there's a group of people who don't want to do active shooter drills because they're afraid it scars the children psychologically. So they just say, no, we're not going to do that. And then there's another group of people that say we need to have that training for our children because they need to be prepared. And so I think the solution is somewhere in between, which is tell them the chances of it happening are very low. But just like being prepared for COVID or the measles or other things that might happen to you, it's good to know that you should wash your hands every day, right? It's good. There are certain things that you can do to prepare for anything that might happen in a world where anything has been happening. It's a hard conversation to have. Children are easily influenced and easily frightened. But I think if there's an adult with the proper messaging and thoughtful kind of conversations around these things, then when they see a TV program or a news show that's reporting something horrible happening, they can put it in perspective.
Okay, so we want to talk. Let's end on a positive note.
Please.
Which I think there is a lot that's so good because, as we said, I think we've become more aware. So I think we are more aware of our surroundings. People are more positive. People are willing to help other people. So you tell me, what's the good news in safety in the world today?
Well, the good news is the amount of tools that are available now to investigate crimes. I think we're coming to a point where it's going to be impossible to commit a crime and not be held accountable for it, right? And there's a lot of conversation about privacy issues and cameras, but the truth of the matter is cameras are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. When I first investigated homicides, we would be looking for blood evidence and fingerprints. Now the first thing that police do when they get to the scene of a homicide is pull video from all around the area.
Sure.
So it's become like a critical component. So the types of cameras that are available, the quality of the cameras, and the artificial intelligence and machine learning that's available for analysis of these cameras is huge. So that is really good as far as safety, because if the one of the things that prevents crime is the certainty of punishment, right? And so when you combine cameras and things like ShotSpotter and other programs that are out there to identify where there's violence occurring, and then you put in the mix DNA, it's really tough to get away with something nowadays, unlike it was 25 years ago.
So you're saying there's no perfect crime?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes, for somebody who's writing books about this, Hank, it must be difficult.
It
to
is.
navigate.
You have to put your finger on it. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. You miss the police days?
I miss the people. I really, I had such a great team in Lowell and then later on in Boston. And frankly, I put some of the team back together again who are working with me now from both those departments. But I don't miss the 3 a.m. phone calls and having to deal with you guys first thing in the morning. It's like when the media lives in your waiting room, it's a little difficult.
Yeah. We were laughing when Ed came in. We said he was on Fox 25 in the mornings more than I was, I think. Truth be known. You got that wake-up call just like I did every morning.
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Yeah.
Ed Davis, so good to see you again.
It's great to see you too, Kim.
And a quick reminder, everybody, it's the Edward Davis Company.
Yep.
And you guys have a website.
We do. We do security, crisis response, and executive protection, things like that.
You bet.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank
to
you
see
so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you
great
for being
to see
a part
you.
of the show.
Yep.
Great to have you. And you're listening to Kerrigan and Company. I love the products and the people at Lucia Lighting and Design in Lynn, Massachusetts. During my most recent visit, owner Lucy Dearborn showed me their Mia Lucia Design Studio. All of the products in Lucia Lighting's new gallery are made right here in the United States and are fully customized. I guarantee you will be impressed with the wide variety of unique decorative lighting. If you can imagine it, the experts at Lucia Lighting Design can make your dreams come true. Learn more at lucialighting.com. That's lucialighting.com. Did you know that more than 90% of cyber attacks can be prevented? Focus Technology helps organizations create a cybersecurity framework to minimize your risk of being attacked. Let Focus Technology's certified team conduct an assessment to determine where the gaps are in your organization, no matter how big or small your company is. Utilizing the industry's best tools, Focus Technology security operations team will monitor and stop bad actors before it's too late. Contact Focus Technology today at focustsi.com and secure your company's most valuable assets. That's focustsi.com. Everybody's talking about pumpkin spice, but I'm more interested in giant pumpkins at the Topsfield Fair. Every year I go and see the winning pumpkin, and I have seen dozens of them. Still, I marvel over the size of those pumpkins at the Topsfield Fair. By the way, the fair is taking place October the 4th to the 14th, and you can order tickets now and save with pre-fair discount pricing. Simply go to topsfieldfair.org and click on the Tickets tab. You can easily buy admission and ride tickets at discounted prices. Don't wait. Go to topsfieldfair.org right now. Discount ticket sales end on October the 3rd. This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to us by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Get your tickets to $1 Million Quartet, playing September 24th through October the 6th at nsmt.org. Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Kerrigan and Company. So good to have you with us today, and so great to have my co-host with me, Hank Phillipi Ryan. She has been busy writing lots of books, and we're going to chat a little bit more about that toward the end of the show. But this week, of course, we're commemorating 9/11 attacks in, of course, New York and in Washington, and that fateful field in Pennsylvania. And 23 years, it's hard to imagine. We were just chatting here in the studio about the fact that there's a whole generation of young people who were not alive then. And there's a lot of question as to whether people have started to sort of push it to the back shelf, and whether we're remembering the way we should. And our next guest says that she's going to do everything in her power to make sure that people continue to remember. Faith Arter is the board president of the Massachusetts 9/11 Fund, and it's so great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Kim. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor for you to recognize the need after 23 years that we need to keep this messaging going and keeps our hearts alive and honor our commitment that I'm sure you remember that day. I know I did. I was right here in Boston.
Faith, do you think that people are starting to forget?
I don't think people are starting to forget. We have to move on with our lives, so I don't think that we're starting to forget. I think I'm concerned that the facts, that we're not educating people on what happened that day. In particular, here in Massachusetts, when you think about it, the first victims were the flight crews and passengers who were slaughtered on those planes. Mm-hmm. And we forget that that those families live with that every single day, and never even having remains returned to recognize the loss and what happened that day. And we have developed an award for the Civilian Bravery Award in honor of that flight attendant. And it's been legislated by our state, so our state gave back. And I think we can continue to remember. We're trying to make it easy for people to take a moment out of their day to remember. Tune in to the live stream. We'll be reading the names of the 206 family members with Massachusetts ties on the front steps tomorrow at the State House. Tune in, please. Take a little time just to even remember your own loved ones and where you were that day, because that's all they don't expect, additional heroism or legacy. It's about paying it forward, doing a small act of human kindness for somebody that you can think about today to keep their memories alive, their life memories alive.
I mean, it's so powerful to hear the names. I mean, it's almost meditative and inspirational. And a word that you often use is dignified. Talk a little bit about why that word is important in keeping this in our minds.
Well, I think the dignity of, for example, where the public memorial is presented shows that we as a community are honoring our commitment to remember them always. And as the years go by, this is the tougher load to carry and honor that. But it is so healing to the families and to the loved ones. I mean, any loved one that I lost, I've learned from this experience in my own practice, in the loved ones that I've lost, how important it is to talk about, to take pictures, to build memory books, to think about the lives. Beyond even the names, we have a video montage that shows the pictures and the life. And when I see it every year in the State House commemoration, you can go on our website and listen to it as well. My heart cries. The youth that these terrorists took around, the memories that were taken from all of us.
Absolutely.
And every single one of those family members has a family member behind them. So that's the least we can do, I think, is just to take a little moment to recognize their lives and the opportunity and our ability to carry their legacy forward.
Now, Faith, you've been involved with the 9/11 Fund here in the state since its inception back in 2002, which was in January of 2002, so shortly after the incident. Tell me what drew you to the organization and what's kept you there for 23 years.
Well, I received a call. My professional practice, this is a volunteer effort, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's a volunteer board. My professional practice is in the world of financial planning and estate planning. And at the time, I distinctly remember the loss, and I wanted to give back in some way. I didn't have a big enough checkbook to make a difference in that way, although I did donate where I could. And I answered the call to the founder, who was Eric McLeish at Greenberg Traurig, who was looking for financial planners to donate their time to help these family members in the journey ahead.
Right.
And so we mustered some folks who would give time, because they were much more complicated than you had to deal with in the estate planning. Less than 30% of the people who were killed that day had a will.
Yeah.
And so the
Well, again,
complications.
it was you said, a lot of it had to do with that.
Yes. And so first it was about just giving back with my little talent to hope it could make a difference. And then it became, I'm listening to these family needs, and I think I can help them in the road ahead to build the memories, and we can gather our resources after listening to them. Not just us trying to put a Band-Aid on what we think is fixed. We actually really spent months, weeks, monthly meetings. What do you need? And the whole reason we even started was that these poor families, everything was being handled out of New York. It was impossible to get representation. So
it was such a gasping surprise that day. I mean, I remember walking down Congress Street after it happened and looking at the clear, gorgeous blue sky that Tuesday, and really thinking my life would never be the same. And all of us have those memories. But there's a whole group of people, children, who have no memory of it. It's as far away as Pearl Harbor or the Civil War to them. Can you talk a little bit about why the memories are so important and what we should do to make sure that it never goes away?
I think number one, we need to we had innocence, Hank, correct? Never did we think we were going to be attacked on American soil, ever. I remember walking across and it's just a small plane, So, and then when I realized we've been attacked, So it destroyed our sense of security here. I don't think we rose above it. That's the story of resilience. That's what that survivor tree is down next to that remembrance garden is about. We came with giant arms together of care, of comfort, of community, giving back to people. I'm so proud of everyone who did that little thing. I tried to do my part, but there are many, many others who did, and we should continue to do that for our neighbors and friends. So we need our children to understand what happened, how the measures were trying to protect us. I actually, when I go through TSA, not always, but I make it a point to say thank you for protecting our safety instead of feeling
irritated that you had to take your shoes off.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
Absolutely. Right.
And so I think the part of remembering and being dignified is also to protect our community and to guide us on staying together as a community to do a good deed for someone in our memory. That's what we are in America. And I think every time I'm inspired, I have a brother who tomorrow, his brother was killed. He's in terrible physical shape. He's getting to that state house to have his brother's name read in a wheelchair, and his tears are coming down his eyes in that commemoration service and giving back, and so thankful. And having our governor participate, having our lieutenant governor, Senator Kennedy, who gave so much. That's a real lesson to be learned. He called every single family member in our state, every single one, and then sent a handwritten note.
Right.
Couldn't we do that same thing? Couldn't we send a handwritten note to someone and make a difference?
Faith, very quickly here, unfortunately, we're going to run out of time, but let me ask you about, people can still donate because dollars are still needed for, tell us what?
Well, I wouldn't say. We're funded by the Massachusetts United We Stand license plate. So our funding needs are not as significant as other organizations. Time is, though.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher or you have the ability to use these resources that we've developed, it's on our website. Please be in touch with us.
Because history doesn't have to be far away.
No.
It can be very close to you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that happened to us here in the United States, here in Massachusetts, here in Boston. And what a perfect place, sadly, to teach that respect and that dignity and the knowledge of something that happened and changed their lives in ways that they don't even know to the kids.
Absolutely. Right. Hank, can you come out to the classroom, please, and share that message? Because we need not to be paralyzed by it, but they need to know the truth, and they need to absolutely make sure that this is not ever questioned as to what happened, and the real facts are there. That every kid, that's close in my heart. The falsehoods that I heard after. Drove us to make sure, no, we need the facts in those classrooms as to what happened. And we can rise above and we can stay together.
Well, the memorial here in the state is absolutely spectacular. And if just a personal note, if you have not been to the site in New York, I think every American should go to the site. Every American should see the museum. Everyone, I certainly have had both of my kids there. We've all been there. It's something everybody should see. It's an education for all of us.
Absolutely.
And it's a moment to stop and to, I think, really be respectful of what we have and where we've come.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
so beautifully said.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you could be with us.
I appreciate the
And you know what?
opportunity.
Congratulations on the incredible work that you've done in the lives that you've affected.
Well, thank you very much. It's been my honor, and I've received multiple blessings that I can't even thank the world enough for, but especially those families who've given us. So thank you.
Well, Faith, thank you very much. And we'll wrap things up when we come back right here on Kerrigan and Company.
There's a whole lot of shaking going on when the hit musical $1 Million Quartet rocks the stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from September 24th through October 6th. Tickets at nsmt.org.
Have you been struggling to meet your weight loss goals? If the answer is yes, then look no further than Sienna Aesthetic Spa in Beverly. Their experts, led by a medical director, can help you get started with a series of injections that will aid you in your weight loss journey. For a limited time, receive injections for only $400 a month. Get ready for the holidays right now. Set up your free consultation with the experts at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Go to SiennaAesthetics.com. That's SiennaAesthetics.com. Oh, and tell them Kim sent you. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, it's that time of the episode when we wrap things up. A little heavy today, I realize, but I'm so glad that we talked about, I think some of those things are so important.
Well, important, exactly. Uplifting. It gives us a sense of respect and memory. And we all need to just take a moment and remember that time.
Yep.
I think it's lovely, actually. And I'm
too.
proud of us for doing it.
Yeah. Wasn't it good to see Ed Davis?
What a cool guy.
I love
and so smart. You know he knows things that he wasn't telling us.
I know. Listen, you need to tap into him for your next book because he could just give you some perspective, when you're like looking for a good thriller.
Well, if he's not going to write it, I can write it.
There you go. Exactly. You have written too. She's written 15, by the way. One Wrong Word is the latest. Now, where can everybody, let's talk to everybody about where we can get the books.
Oh, what a good question, Kim.
Yeah, I keep saying you can get them anywhere, but
You can get them anywhere. They are at every bookstore. They are online. You can click. You can run to wherever books are sold. And don't forget your local library as well. I adore libraries. And readers should know that when they take a book out of the library, it really makes a difference to the author. It's not like cheating or sneaking. We are thrilled when you go to a library and take out
I
our
love
books.
that. We were talking about this. There's 15. There's 2 series in your book's collection.
Yes, and One Wrong Word, this one, is a standalone.
It's a standalone.
So this is the only time you're going to read about Arden Ward and what happens to her with Cordelia Bannister and Monelle Cheatwood. You will be intrigued and riveted, and I promise you will not know what's going to happen because, as we discussed, I didn't even know myself.
I know it. So what's the next book? Come on, just give us a little sliver.
Because it's you. I just sent in the final version yesterday. I'm telling you, yesterday. It's called All This Could Be Yours. All This Could Be Yours comes out this time next year about a debut author with a surprise best-selling novel who realizes someone is out to ruin her life and to ruin her family and destroy her career, all because of a Faustian bargain that she didn't realize she'd made.
Wow. All right, you heard it here first.
You did indeed.
And you're going to come back when that book comes out. You'll come back and we'll go through the whole thing and
that would be lovely.
We'll
Thank
chat
you.
about it. So good to see you.
You too.
Thank you a bunch. So good to have you with us. Hank Phillipi Ryan. And again, it's One Wrong Word. You can get it wherever you get your books. We want to thank Ed and Faith for being with us. Be sure you follow us on social, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan & Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan & Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan & Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley. And our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.